Hey up there, guys. So today I'm going to be playing The Beginner's Guide, which is by the guy who did the Stanley Parable. I have played through this before, and I actually did a video before, but sadly it's been lost to time. So now we're going to do it again, and hopefully this time round I won't be sleep deprived, because last time I was. Anyway, let's begin. Okay, well, the audio is definitely on, so, yeah. Yep. So, over the last couple of years, I've seen people play
Hi
this.
there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way.
Thank you.
And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
Well, it looks like
But what I
Dean
like
does.
is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Never mind.
So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
Okay.
As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
So what I'm going to do is I'm hopefully going to do chapter by chapter in different parts. Just to break it up a little, make it easy for uploading and things like that. So before we go on and the dialogue begins again, I have played this game, and before I really understood the game's method, and by now a lot of people have played it, so me playing this is pretty much old news, but screw it, it's a good game, and no one besides one person on YouTube has actually recorded any footage for this game since, like, what, 2004? No, 2015, 2016? 2016, I think it was, 2 years ago. And it's a shame that games like this just get forgotten about, like the Stanley Parable. It was a gimmick, big YouTubers did it, and then they completely forgot about it, which I don't think should be the fact. These games deserve the recognition. You know, people put a lot of heart into this. And as we continue through the story, you'll see that it's actually worth listening to the dialogue. So, you know, I'm not the guide here. I'm literally just the head and the legs that will move you through the story. And let's begin.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Light and dark. Always go left. Oh, that's supposed to be simulated fire, I'm guessing. The sensitivity's really high. I think that might be my fault, though.
Security hold breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
That door's open. Is it? No?
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development.
Oh.
For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized.
Oh, we can see outside then.
Initiated evacuation.
Of course you can see outside.
I
Yes.
love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
You can't see the top, well, you can see the seam. Good old skyboxes. It's very intense. Okay, labyrinth rule, always go left.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Really? No, I want to go back.
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Deserves it. Why not, eh? Okay, I think I solved it. There we go. Okay. Well, that was good. Now I've got to find my way back. Oh, wait. Yeah. No, definitely not. No. Okay, there has been a mistake. I have made an error. I did not mean... I was... Right. Oh god. I get a feeling if anybody would watch this, they'd be screaming at the screen saying, "You go the wrong way!" Oh. No. Oh. Progress. Yes. Cool.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting.
Okay.
The game has this narrative about the Whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
We have a point of sacrifice and martyrdom by an agent completely disassociated with the narrative so far.
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's do this. Are-you?
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay. Jump into the beam. I'm guessing there's a reference here to... Ooh, hello. Oh no, it was.
The
wait,
beam causes you to start floating.
It's actually. A
And this
really
is an
easy-
important moment
no,
for
it's
him.
not.
Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it.
can use
Like
the
how
glitch.
small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Okie dokes. The past was behind her.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh,
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Code is trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope. It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick.
very awesome.
Okay, next one.
Oh, okay. You are now entering.
And that's it.
Okay.
Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
It's a good opening shot.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
There's a message to be had here. I don't know. Insert analogy of the futility of man, etc.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Or shall we just crawl the stairs as the game was intended to be played? Now you see, usually I would, but I don't want to string this video out too long. So for brevity, I think that's the word, brevity, whatever it is, we'll just hit enter and do the thing. And we're in a lounge. I'm not going to move around too fast so you can read them. Some of these are really good ideas for games.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games. Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Okay, so we're going to continue this in part 2.